Good morning and happy blessed Friday. I was thinking about parents. And as a child, there were so many things I had no understanding of. I didn't have the experience and or the understanding of what it actually took and takes to be a parent. And I think back from when I was younger and I had my parents on a pedestal. And the pedestal effect is when you hold someone in very high regard. And holding someone in high regard, they're bound to disappoint you. And over the years, as I became an adult, I became a mother, my responsibilities grew. My child then put me on a pedestal. And when I dropped from the pedestal, and probably before I dropped, as I started to understand all the responsibilities, all the ups and downs that came, the struggle that came with being a parent and a single parent only by title. And when I say by title, that my child always has had both parents in his life, just in two different homes, so back and forth. There were moments that I obviously have disappointed my son. And so the thought came to me today around giving your parents a break. And further, I'll say we have these high expectations of our parents. We have needs that we look to them to be met. And a lot of them are basic needs, but there is the spiritual, physical, emotional needs. And when they don't meet those needs, if we're not in a place or we never get to a place of being able to understand what it was that they were carrying or holding around the time that we either didn't get it, we could take that into our adulthood. But as an adult, I understand, and being versed and knowledgeable in the field of mental health, what I realized was that not only do your parents do the best that they can with what they have, sometimes we have expectations that they can give us something that they don't possess. And so the definition of insanity, I believe, is to do the same things over and over again and looking for a different result. So I'm going to apply that to needs not met. We could go around and somewhat go insane, hoping and wanting things from our parents that they just don't have. And at some point when you grow up, you have to look at the bigger picture. Look at who your parent was and is. Look at who their parents were or weren't. And if you can go further back than that, then look at their parents for who they were or weren't. And through stories of who family members are or were, we're able to see threads or pieces to the puzzle that we can then put into place. And sometimes we sit down to put a puzzle together thinking that the picture is going to be, all the pieces will be there and the picture will be clear. But what happens are there gaps in that. And I'll just use this as an example. If your mother didn't have a great relationship with her mother and she didn't receive the tender, kind, loving care that she needed when growing up, it's not to say that she doesn't have it or she couldn't have gotten it somewhere else. But the reality is sometimes mothers and fathers didn't get what they might have wanted or needed, and therefore don't have to give to us. And we can go insane by asking for the same things over and over again. Or we can come to a point where when the pedestal falls and we bring our parents down from the pedestal, we get to see them for the human beings that they are. We get to see them flaws and all, acknowledge that, forgive them for what they didn't know and didn't have, and find ways of giving it to ourselves. And God is good in that there was a period in my life where I was missing certain connections with older Black women. And in this period of time, I was surrounded by a few of them that gave me what I was missing growing up. But it doesn't take away from the women that I had growing up. They gave me what they could. And they gave me strength, and they gave me determination, and they gave me encouragement, and they gave me reality and perspective. But there was this other piece that I was missing. Growing up with women who were clear that I am your mother, I am your aunt, I am not your friend. There were conversations that I felt like I needed to have during very interesting points in my life. But being in a child's place, I couldn't have those conversations. And so I did a lot of bumping and bruising, trying to figure it out. But when I was given women who were willing to bridge that gap and have that conversation, I was very appreciative. And then back to the point is, or one of the points, your parents can't give you what they don't have. You can, as adults, tell them what it was that you needed and didn't have, and hope and pray that they're in a different place and can maybe acknowledge that and try. But if they don't have it, they just don't have it. And so what do you do then? Do you accept them for who they are and meet them where they're at? Or do you leave them where they are and move forward? These are questions and thoughts that I have. I think sometimes for me, it's easier to just see someone for who they are and where they're at. And if I can continue to be in relationship with them and love them, then I will. But if it's toxic or painful or hurts me or harms me, then I'm good with leaving you where you are and moving forward. But just in the context of understanding the bigger picture, that there are generations and gaps between generations where conversations weren't had, people didn't get what they needed and therefore they couldn't turn around and give it to other people, or they may have overcompensated because they never got it and then they give too much, or they learn how to give what it was that was missing. And before we could ever really ask someone for something, we have to figure out how to give it to ourselves. Just last week, I talked about when we label people as needy or insecure or codependent, that's a reality for some people. But accepting by understanding someone's life experiences, and then when you get that information, knowing or learning how to give it to yourself so that you can then turn around and give it to someone else. Just a thought. Thank you for listening. I love you. Happy Blessed Friday.